there in the prophets are in great affliction and reproach. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. And it came to pass when I heard these words that I sat down and wept and mourned certain days, and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven, and said, I beseech thee, O Lord, God of heaven, the great and terrible God, that keepeth covenant and mercy for them that love him and observe his commandments. This is what Nehemiah says. Let thine ear now be attentive, and thine eyes open, that thou mayest hear the prayer of thy servant, which I pray before thee now day and night, for the children of Israel thy servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel, which we have sinned against thee. Both I and my father's house have sinned. We have dealt very corruptly against thee, and have not kept the commandments, nor statutes, nor the judgments which thou commanded thy servant Moses. Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandest thy servant Moses, saying, if ye transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. But if you turn unto me, and keep my commandments, and do them, though you were of you cast out unto the outermost part of the heaven, yet I will gather them from thence. I will bring them unto the place that I have chosen to set my name there. Now these are thy servants and thy people, whom thou hast redeemed by thy great power and by thy strong hand. I beseech thee, let now thine ear be attentive to the prayer of thy servant, and to the prayer of thy servants, who desire to fear thy name. And prosper, I pray thee, thy servant this day, and grant him mercy in the sight of this man.
Yes.
For I was the king's cupbearer. For I was the king's cupbearer. Today I want to talk to you just for a few moments from this thought. Use what you got left. 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 Many of us don't know what we got left because we're concentrating too much on what we lost.
Yes. Amen.
Use what you got left. Is there anybody here? I said use.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What you got left. What do you have left? After all that I've come through, after all that I've been through, what remains?
Yes, sir.
What is still here? Now, this can appear to be a difficult question to ask, especially when our attention is given to what is no more. It's difficult to answer the question, what do you have left, when your focus is off track? No one in their right mind, no one in their right mind sets up residence at a place where their tire is gone flat. Did y'all hear what I said?
Yes.
So no one sets up residence where their tire has gone flat.
Yes, sir.
What you do is you get out of the car, you change the tire, and you move on.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
But what many of us have done, we have been hit by life, and we have decided to set up residence right where we are.
Yes, sir.
So true.
Yes, sir. Good preacher.
Rather than asking, what do I have left?
Yes, sir.
Because there is nothing I can do about what's lost.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
There is nothing that I can do about what left. There is nothing that I can do about who walked out.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
But what matters right now
Yes, sir.
is what do I have left. In our text today, Nehemiah, I got to give you a little history to understand what he's dealing with. Right now, Nehemiah is at a place where he has heard that the walls of Jerusalem have been torn down.
Yes, sir.
And the gates have been burned with fire. Now, Nehemiah is serving the king. Right? But he has gotten news that the children of Israel have returned back to Jerusalem after being in years of captivity. But the city that the Israelites returned to was not the city that they remembered. But before I explain to you them coming back to Jerusalem, I got to explain to you what happened to them while they're in that current state anyway.
Yes, sir.
They had been in captivity over 400 years. Which means that a generation has died in captivity, teaching their children, you are enslaved, but you're not a slave.
That's good.
You are in prison, but you're not a prisoner. This Babylonian dilemma that you are in is not your home. One day, this is what they filled their hearts with. This is what they told their children. One day, we're going to leave this place and we're going back home to Jerusalem. And the one thing that the three major religions of the world believe is that Jerusalem is a holy city.
Yes, sir.
Jerusalem, it's a holy city. The majestic fountains and the cobblestone streets of Jerusalem. It is a holy city. Now here they are, the children of Israel, after being in captivity all these years, they are on their way back to this place that they were told by their parents is a holy city. And when they get back to the city is ruined.
Jesus.
The city has been wrecked. It has been burned. The gates have been ripped off their hinges.
Yes, sir.
And they sent back word to Nehemiah and says, although you are still there, we are back to Jerusalem. But the Jerusalem we return to is not what we remember.
Yes, sir.
The Jerusalem we return to is not what we were told. They were broken. Because what they once had, they didn't have anymore. Is there anybody here that has ever been in a situation where you've been confronted with life and with frustrations and with cares, and you say, God, this is not what you promised me. This is not what you told me. This was not what you envisioned to me. This is not what you spoke over my life. Why am I dealing with this when you've given me a promise?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everything that has been prophesied, everything that has been promised to me, it seems like everything else is happening except that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why is it that I've come out of captivity, I've come out of prison, I've come out of being held up, but now I get to the place of promise and it seems like the doors are shut?
Yes, sir. Come on, preacher.
God says, use what you've got left. And it is difficult to see what you have left when it seems like everything has fallen apart around you.
Come on.
The devil would like you to think that it is demonic interference or influence. But I've come to let you know today that you are not dealing with demonic influence. You are dealing with a divine interruption. And if you can have the faith to muster to say, God, I trust you no matter what I'm dealing with. I trust you. I stand on your word. I don't care what it looks like. I'm going to believe you. I'm going to stand on your word.
Yes, sir, preacher. Good.
You won't make it to your destination if you decide to remain at the place of your dilemma.
Yes, sir.
It's time. It's time. It's time. Somebody say time. It's time to break through every hindrance and break out of every limitation and break forth into uncommon and unusual faith and favor. But it's up to you to decide. I refuse to give up. I refuse to quit. I refuse to stand here lest we die. God gave me a promise, and I'm going to use what I got left, because what I have